This show is sponsored by PowerfulWomenUSA.com. Hey, everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I'm hoping that you will be inspired to pursue your own dreams, reclaim your voice, and discover your strengths. So my guest today is Lynda Williams. Lynda is joining me from the UK, where she is a life optimization coach. She was featured in Vogue magazine because she helps women live a more balanced, fulfilling life. So, Lynda, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jill. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my goodness. So thank you for coming on. I think it's awesome. You're our first UK guest. I hope not the only one. So,
woo! Amazing.
So, Lynda, I want to talk about first what you do exactly as a life optimization coach, because I think everybody needs a coach at various times in their life, if not all the time. But tell us what you do.
Yeah, essentially, I help single female entrepreneurs and high achievers improve the relationship they have with themselves to find more balanced fulfillment and essentially find the love of their life.
Are the two related?
Which two are related?
Is the relationship a critical part of life fulfillment?
I believe so. The relationship, first of all, you have with yourself is absolutely imperative for success in life. So whether it's understanding ourselves, our deep self-awareness based on our childhood experiences, our upbringing, the way our parents spoke to us, past relationships, societal norms, how we were educated, being self-aware, improving our self-worth, and essentially improving the relationship we have with ourselves is imperative for all levels of success, both at work and in our personal lives, and also finding the love of your life.
Oh, I love that because, well, this is so interesting because I've had this conversation with some people and some people don't see the connection. They don't see how their self-talk and their mindset affects, their life like that, like their career and things like that. I mean, I know they think, oh, well, I'm a hard worker or things like that, but I feel like mindset is probably the most critical thing in life that we often overlook.
Yeah, absolutely. Mindset is key. Like without a strong mindset, you might as well go home. We've got to be disciplined. We've got to have a strong mindset and understand, as you said, what is that inner chat that's speaking to us in our head? Is it positive? Is it nourishing and nurturing? Or is it dragging us down? Is it negative? Is it affecting our self-worth and our confidence? Because we actually operate from our subconscious. Everyone thinks we operate from our head or our conscious, but actually those deep embedded beliefs and the way that we were brought up, that's all embedded in our subconscious. And half the time we're really unaware of those little unhelpful beliefs that keep raising their head, and how it comes out and how we're triggered in both work and personal life situations.
What do you think is the biggest, has the biggest effect? Do you think it's our parents and how we were raised? We want to blame everything on our parents, but
We do.
yeah. But what do you think it is?
Well, in my Evolve Woman program, I really have a map of looking back at our lives. Yes, the way that we were brought up can affect our mindset, our self-worth, our beliefs in life. Of course it can. Our environment and our surroundings as well. Like, how was school? Was it a nurturing environment? Were we at the bottom of the class? Were we bullied because we didn't have the right hairstyle? Our early relationships, our early boyfriends, like, how did that pan out? Did we feel confident? Were we shamed? So a lot of our past experiences really do affect who we are today. And the same goes for work as well. When you're climbing up the ladder and, did you have amazing bosses and brilliant mentors, or were they stealing your work and making them as their own? Were they progressing you in the same speed as your peers and your male peers? Were you fairly treated? All these different things in life really do affect our self-confidence and our self-beliefs. So just being aware of where we are today and our history and how we have been formed, we're all a product of our experience, is so important so we can move forward with compassion for ourselves and understanding, but just understanding how we've been showing up, but how we can evolve through that and process that so we can show up in a healthier and kinder way.
Mm. What do you say to critics who say, and this is not my belief, but critics who say, well, that's life. You were born into the family you were born to, and maybe they were negative and spoke to you a certain way, but that's your lot in life and too bad. And you'll figure it out.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know anyone that had 100% perfect childhood. Our parents did the best that they could
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
tools that they had, the resources that they had, the education that they had, the financial resources that they had. So sometimes there needs to be compassion to our parents. When we all want to blame, as you said before, we want to
Mm,
blame our parents, but it's just understanding that and not taking it so personally in
mm,
some instances. I remember my mum getting my mum was quite strict, and she used to be quite cross with me at some stages, but she kept us in line, but she was also under quite a lot of pressure because my father was verbally and emotionally abusive.
mm,
And so she was doing the best that she could. We didn't go out that much as a family. Well, we never went out as a family. We never went out and did all these activities that kids do these days. But I had a great life growing up on the farm. It was pretty simple. It was very humbling. Like I look back and, apart from my father, and the way he was with us and the way he was with my mother, it was generally okay. And everyone's have has these ups and downs of childhood. So it's just looking back and understanding what went on and understanding perhaps that how that would have affected us, our view on the world, on relationships, how parenting is, all the rest of it. And it's just having that understanding and awareness, and how some of those beliefs and some of that parenting may have affected who we are today.
mm. When you're dealing with clients, it's got to be very emotional from your point of view and theirs to go back to that spot, to that time when you know it was hurtful. Something hurtful was happening.
Yeah, it is. And it can be painful. And quite
Mm.
often it's brushed under the carpet. Let's just get on with things because
Mhm.
it's painful to deal with it then. And then 20, 30 years later to understand what was happening, and also how that has affected us today. It can be deep and it can be painful, but it is such a sigh of relief to go, "Oh, I get it. That's why I've been showing up the way I've been showing up. That's why I'm triggered in these situations." And you're not in those depths forever when you're looking back and understanding and processing what happened. But it's healing. It's so healing. There's
Mm.
so many aha moments and understanding of what went on. Some forgiveness for other people, some forgiveness for yourself as well. Um, but I really think it's highly important. That's why I call my program the Evolve Woman program, to be able to evolve through life and have that growth mindset. And we can only do that by understanding where we came from. And that's what I do in my program. And that's those first early modules, is understanding our makeup, where we came from, our past relationships. And then once we've got all of that, we move forward, and that's where we rebuild self-worth and confidence. And then we look
Mm.
at dating in the modern world. So it's not, there's a lot of dating advice out there right now.
Mm.
Some of it's great. Some of it's like, hey, say these 5 words to a guy and he'll automatically fall in love with you. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what utter BS. Number one. Number two, it can feel so unauthentic. Chat GPT sends you these things to WhatsApp a guy. And so I'm all about authenticity and creating your own blueprint to how to show up in a relationship and how to show up in life.
Which I love, but I feel like that's right what you said, right? To figure out who you are, and I feel like for most people don't know who they are because they either, like you said, they don't want to reflect or even look at how they acted, how that action may have affected someone else. Like we just live, I think sometimes it's true in this narcissistic society where, oh well, they'll just have to, deal with it. Like this is who I am. This is my truth. And not, which I support. I do believe everyone has to find what drives them and motivates them, and but I feel like sometimes we just don't wanna look at why we act the way we act.
Yeah, again, it's very confronting. And once we look at that and it's like, oh, 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 this is
Mm,
uncomfortable. Was I really like that when you start evolving through it all? And also how your actions may have affected other people and having the empathy and being able to put yourself in other people's shoes and perspective and understand
mm,
how they might have felt from your actions at that time. But if they are equally empathetic, they will understand that you are doing your best with your state of mind and your resources in that moment in time.
mm. Let me talk about, I wanna talk about you have a few things you work on. So, I know you have the Work Well system, so and then you have the Evolved Woman program. So you mentioned the Evolved Woman program, but, let's really dive into that. So, people contact you, and what is your typical client?
My typical client, high achieving woman, mostly late 40s and are in their and into their 50s. They're at the top of the game at work, CFOs, marketing directors, business owners. They may have had a few relationships, they may be divorced with children, but they just haven't spent the time on themselves. They've had really difficult relationships, and they're at a point where I really want to share my life with somebody. And I want to do the work. They also want to try to understand the modern dating world as well, the online dating world, as you
Mm,
mentioned before, that word narcissism. Like, how can they really find the love of their life? How can they show up as the best version of themselves? How can they really attract what they are looking for? And again, it's understanding, doing all that work, understanding who they really are and what they really want in a relationship. And the
mm,
thing is, these women are amazing at work. They're amazing at the strategies, and they can kill their quarter one revenue targets. But when it comes to their personal life,
mm,
there's no strategy, there's no thought, there's no care, because that gets the scraps of their energy at the end of the day. And another thing that I find is they've had 1 or 2 bad relationships, and that's it. Ugh, never wanna date
sure.
another man ever again, yada, 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 but they're not like that at work. Hey, a business
Mm,
deal goes wrong. They don't meet Q1 revenue targets. Alright, let's brush ourselves off. What can we learn? How can we move forward at work? But I find, obviously, in your personal life and relationships, it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more emotional. There's a lot more hurt involved. And so, and this is generally speaking, not just my high achieving ladies. It's hard when you've been heartbroken, you've been misled, you've dated emotionally unavailable, non-committal guys who you thought were the one and who let you down. If you've been cheated on, all those different things, it's really hard. And you want to protect your heart from getting hurt again, right? So it's very, very natural human response, but it's empowering these women with the right tools and strategy and mindset to go out there and date with intention.
mm. So, all right, so give us a couple of tools. What can someone do to kind of make it work?
Yeah. So a lot of the time, women don't even know, my clients don't even know what they're looking for. So, yeah, they
Mm,
want a guy who's, equal to me, they're good fun, they like going on holidays, yada, 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 but they
mm,
don't really know what is the deep inherent values and beliefs that you want in a relationship and a partnership and in that the love of your life. So we really map out and get specific in terms of what they are willing
mm,
and not willing to compromise on. And there's a
mm,
lot of aha moments there, from getting rid of all this societal pressure, family pressure, their expectations on who they should be dating,
sure.
um, and really looking at the core values and what it is to them in terms of what's important in a relationship. And once you get super specific on that, everything else falls by the wayside. So when they're going out on dates and they're really asking the right questions, um, and I also have this amazing module on tapping into your gut. So I'm all about
Mm.
feminine energy and embracing more of the feminine energy, which helps you tap into your gut intuition.
Mhm.
So, as high achieving women, we're always in our masculine energy at work, which is the going, the on, the
Yeah.
power, the planning, the strategizing. But the feminine energy is more being in the present, being receptive, the allowing of creative thought, listening to your gut intuition. It's not about being submissive and girly girly. That's what a lot of people think feminine energy is. Oh, be more feminine. You'll attract more guys if you're just more, be a damsel in distress. Act like
Oh
you need
gosh.
help. Like all that
Oh.
really misguided advice. Oh, don't even get me started.
Mm.
But the feminine is actually just being in the present, just slowing down. It's receiving in terms of like listening. Listening with
Mhm.
empathy is actually being in your feminine. So you could be in a kicking ass in a boardroom meeting. You could be stood up presenting your end of year results with a board of 20 guys all asking you very intimidating questions. And then you sit down and you listen with empathy. You listen to understand, not to respond. And that is actually in your feminine, right? So
Mm. Mhm.
you can actually flow between in the two in within seconds. So a lot of people think, well, you're in your masculine at work and then feminine. Let's put my feminine t-shirt on in my personal life, but it's actually the art of flowing in between, because we need to be in our masculine in dating mode as well to make a decision. So the masculine makes a decision, like, where we're going to meet up, what time, like, let's make some plans. So that is your masculine. We never get anything done if we're not in our masculine. Um, and a lot of women feel, oh God, like now I'm getting chastised for being in my masculine. Like, this is what I need to do because we've been operating in a man's world, right? In the work environment,
Yeah.
a world built by men, we have
Mhm.
had to be in our masculine.
Yep.
So I feel I also teach compassion. It's like it's okay. We need to be in our masculine as well, and don't beat yourself up for having to be in your masculine and accidentally, we get into it 24/7 that you go into masculine mode in dating mode and in your work life and in your relationship. So it's just, again, it's down to awareness and understanding
Mhm.
how we can flow between the two, and it's not an act. Oh yeah, well, I got to be in my feminine now. Oh shit.
Mm.
But it's all about how do we flow between the two. So again, that's another one of my frameworks. And then, of course, we really deep dive into self-worth, going back and mapping out where in our life may our self-worth been dented,
Yeah.
and really taking that and understanding and looking at that, appreciating it, understanding where it came from, and then healing through there. So it's a real multifaceted program of self-worth, the energies, and then we get into the dating strategies in terms of where and how are you going to find him.
Mm. Oh boy. And excuse me. And obviously, online dating. I mean, is that the only way? I feel like I've spoken to women who feel like that's the only way now. I mean, going to, night pubs and bars, it just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to work for everybody or anyone, really.
No, and the thing is, people aren't going out as much since
Mm.
COVID. People just
Right.
aren't going out as much, and not for us, but the younger generations certainly aren't going out drinking anymore.
Mm.
If you've seen all the stats on the alcohol brands in the US as well, like they are plummeting.
Yeah.
Um, but for us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, yes, of course, dating apps, but have a specific strategy for that. But
Mm.
I also say open your channels, like be open to being receptive to where you might meet your man.
Mhm.
Earlier on in my program, we really do a little bit of a deep dive into, okay, let's get, well, how's your physical, emotional, and mental health now? How's your self care? Are you indulging in the hobbies and interests that you want to? Just in terms of your fulfillment and joy and happiness at the start of my program. And a lot of people are like, well, I really want to do more hiking. I want to go and climb Kilimanjaro. I want to get back into tennis, these types of things. So when you embrace more of what you love doing, your natural energy and vibration raises, right?
Mm.
When you're doing something you love. I love cooking. I'm the happiest in the kitchen, right?
Mhm.
I love tennis. I'm like a total goofball on the court. Like, I'm happiest. My vibrations are so high. So
Mm.
if we open our map of the world to meeting people in other circumstances, but doing things that we love, like run clubs are massive. People
Right.
are actually meeting people on run clubs all over the world. There's run clubs everywhere.
Mhm.
We all joke like no one actually goes to run. They just go to meet like-minded people. But it's a healthier way, like, doing something like-minded that you quite like, really like.
Mhm.
It really opens it up. And it makes you get out more and experience more fun and interesting activities than, just stuck on home like swiping. So
Mm.
I do say open the channels. Have a strategy for your dating apps. Have a cloak of resilience for that, and I have a deep strategy for that. But also get out there and have some fun, and you'll meet some
Mm.
new friends along the way as well. So, and then finally, I do have I do ingrain it in maintain eye contact. Like, a lot of people have dogs these days. I'm like, where else can you go and walk your dog? Like, explore your neighborhood. He might be in the local park. Who knows? But there's no point going there if you're not going to maintain eye contact. Like, good morning, maintain eye contact. And do it to
Oh.
strangers anyway, right?
Mhm.
Because make someone's day. I mean, I say hi and hi to everyone I pass on a hike or in the street. I'm the friendliest person ever and too much sometimes. But make someone's day and you never know, you could bump into the love of your life.
But there could be that creepy, lingering look, right? Like like it goes on a little too long.
Yeah, well, exactly. You got
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
check out the vibe first. It's not just like going around the park and kissing and seeing, hi, hi, I'm here, I'm single, I'm ready to receive. No, it's not that. Be discerning. Get
Right.
the vibes, get
Right.
the energy. And they always say, like, go to the coffee shop, go to the park at the same
Yeah.
time every day, and see who's hanging out there. There's so many different areas. People have met the love of their life on an aeroplane on the seat next to them. You just never know. But what I always say is be open. Don't just rely on the apps. Be open to where he may be.
Mm. But I feel like so when you're dealing with, which you said you are, the high achieving women, like work is their life, right? Like they say I don't have time to play tennis. I don't have time to, and if there's kids involved and they're divorced or something, so what do you say to maybe the woman listening who says, "God, I have no time I don't even know what a hobby I would like to do."
You've always got time, right? Everyone's got time
Mhm.
to make time for themselves. And I always say, look from your deathbed backwards. I know it's morbid, but look at, did you create time for yourself? Did you do all the things that brought you joy? Because work and all the money you make, you can't take that with you, but you can take all the memories and the love and the connections you shared. So, what can you do in your life to create time? How can you invigorate more energy into yourself?
Mm.
Look at your health, your sleep. Are you getting your exercise in? These little tiny tweaks that you can make. And it's not just kind of, oh, hey, yeah, 4 or 5 hours of work a day and that's it. Now it's time to focus on self-care and dating and all this other stuff. It's being realistic and just tightening up the cogs and having a little bit more discipline in how you spend your time. It is absolutely possible. One of my one of my girlfriends, she is a single mom of two very autistic boys. She's a killer boss at one of the major banks. And she has a lovely boyfriend. She went out on the dating scene. She managed to find time. And she had no help at home, but she
Wow.
still found the time to go out and have some joy and do what makes her happy and find the love of their life. So it is possible. It is totally
Right.
possible.
I feel like you're battling sometimes a little bit of the culture where if you have older parents who are still with you who say that's selfish, just stay home, be a mom, be happy, right?
Well, that's their expectations, right? That they're projecting their beliefs onto you. So at the end
Mm.
of the day, you're the one living your life and you need to look at what brings you joy. What are your values? Because if you're nourishing yourself, if you're practicing more self-care, if you're doing what makes you happy, you're going to show up as a better mum because
Right,
your cup is full of the good stuff, of the nourishing stuff.
right.
So there's always generational differences. The generation above us was perhaps a little bit more old-fashioned in their views and how women should show up in the home and in relationships. And obviously, it's radically changed over the last 20,
Mm.
30 years. But you're the one living your life, no one else.
Oh, I love that. All right, so let's pause here. So much more to talk about. We'll be back with Lynda Williams after the commercial break. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Help me get the word out. Share this with a friend. We'll be back. Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Conway. Thank you so much for listening and loving the Secrets of Powerful Women podcast. If you could, please like and subscribe to my channel on Spotify or iHeart, Apple Music, Audible, and YouTube. It will help me expand the show and bring you more incredible women who are inspiring you with their stories. I am so grateful for your support, so thank you. Keep listening and share this with your friends. We're changing the world. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Lynda Williams is with me. Lynda is a life optimization coach in the UK. And what I love about, and she mentioned a little earlier in the show about how important your intuition is as a woman. And how did you come to realize that, Lynda?
Oh, yeah. I love talking about intuition. So believe it or not, our intuition comes from our gut, right? And what people don't realize is that our gut is made of millions of neurons that it's the same in our brain, right?
Hmm.
And it actually sends messages to our brain. We all think it's the brain sending messages to other parts of our body, but our gut does send us messages. And it has that sixth sense that most of us quash down. Have you ever had that gut feeling when you're in a meeting or you meet someone and something just feels a bit off? You're like, ooh. And then you're like, and then your head brain comes and go, nah,
Yep.
nah, you're just making it up. And then
Mhm.
then you look back and go, oh yeah, he wasn't a genuine, authentic guy, or that business deal that I did get involved with actually went terribly wrong. So your intuition as a woman, often when you're in a high achieving role, it gets quashed down because we're in head mode all the time. We're in thinking mode, we're in
Mhm.
doing. We
Yep.
don't have the time to stop and think and have that space and that flexibility to really listen to our body and listen to the signals of what's coming up. I've actually just recorded a podcast with an amazing spiritual leader, Danny Vandervelde. It'll be coming out in a couple of weeks' time, and we actually talk about witchcraft,
Oh, wow.
modern witchcraft, because actually there's a castle in good old England. There's a castle right near me where witches were trialed 600-700 years ago, and it was, remember, if so the women were thrown in the river, and if
Mhm.
they drowned, they were innocent, and if they floated, they were guilty and they were hung anyway. But it was all this big propaganda across the UK and Europe, because women had these magic powers,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
we must squash these magic powers. And I feel like it's rearing its ugly head in today's world as well.
Yep.
But we have this innate intuition and sense and awareness that if we just tapped into that, we can make way more informative and powerful decisions, both at work and in our personal lives and in our dating lives.
But like you said, we're told, and society will tell us, think with your head, not your heart. How many times have we seen something like that? Which I'm like, that is the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
No, you absolutely, and it's also about syncing those what I call three brains: your head brain, your heart brain, and your gut brain, because they're all giving us information, but it's understanding which one you're led by. So I used to be really led by my heart when it came to relationships. So I'd date emotionally unavailable, commitment phobe guys who let me down, but I'll be like, oh, but he's a nice guy. Oh, it's not his fault. He let me down again. He's very busy at work. My
Mm.
heart was like little Miss Empath and kindness and understanding, where my head was like, girlfriend, what the heck are you doing putting up with this? And my
Right.
gut was like, "Boo, boo, boo." but my heart was overriding what my head brain and my gut brains were saying. So
Mm,
it's all about, again, it's about awareness and syncing those and understanding where you're led. And sometimes we're led in our heads when it comes to matters of the heart or dating. And we go into dates like interviews, like, well, is he this? Is he that? Is the other? Oh, I'm out of here. Instead of going, okay, how am I feeling in his company? You know,
mm,
how am I connecting with him? That's what your heart's saying. What is my gut saying? Am I safe? So the gut is the fight or flight. It keeps us safe. Am I feeling safe in his presence? So just understanding how our different brains can really support us and make us informed decisions is key. And I always say, if you're really out of sync with listening to your gut, get your good old journal out and, throughout the week, and it could take a month or so, to start tapping into how is that feeling. You'll suddenly get some sensations down there when you think something feels off, and just ask yourself, why am I feeling a bit off there, and write it down. Whether it's in a meeting, whether it's meeting new people, and just note that. And then look back on it and you'll start realizing a pattern like, oh, my gut was right there. Like 99% of the time, it's right. But it's learning to trust your gut. And a lot of people, when they've had bad experiences, they start not listening to their gut. Oh, I can't trust my gut anymore. I don't
mm,
trust myself anymore. So
mm,
it's learning to trust yourself again because they've made bad choices. They've made bad partner choices before. So it's understanding, okay, how can I make more informed decisions again in the future and not get myself in the same old pickle and get
mhm.
heartbroken? So again, we look at syncing those three head brains to make more powerful, informed decisions.
So, Linda, I love everything you say because I truly believe in that, all of it. No, really, and I always talk about. I feel like every conversation somehow to ends up towards the spiritual level where however you get there, I think we live in a society that doesn't want to acknowledge it often. But so but you weren't always a life coach. You didn't go to school and say, "I want to be a coach." How did you end up doing this?
No, so I'll tell you the full story because I always think it's important to look at kind of your past, your
Yeah.
experiences and who you are today. And I think we're
Mhm.
always and we should always be works in progress. We should always be evolving and have that growth mindset. So let me tell you, I grew up in northwest England on a farm. I was herding sheep and cattle. I had a very humble upbringing. I didn't have any fancy toys or my mum was amazing. My parents were going through a pretty shitty divorce. Um, and he committed suicide when I was 18.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Um,
Linda, I'm so
so
sorry.
I
Mm.
just started university 5 weeks in. So I chose to do hotel management because living in the middle of nowhere in a village, I always wanted to see the world. And I became head girl at high school. I started putting on all these events, and I love bringing people together, and I love the hospitality element. Um, so I went to uni. My dad passed away in quite a traumatic circumstances. So that really defined who I was as an 18-year-old. I could have either let it define me or I fueled all of that into I'm not going to let this ruin my life. I made that decision there and then. I'm not going to let this ruin my life. It actually catapulted me into doing really well in my degree. I wanted to work for the best hotel groups in the world. So I went on to work for Mayborn Hotel Group in London, which has the Barclay, the Claridge's, the Connaught. Then I ended up in Singapore with my ex-husband, working for Aman Resorts for 3 years. Um, I traveled the world 10 times over with all these amazing hotel brands I used to represent with my PR agency, which I went on to set up after Aman and Como Hotels and Resorts. Um,
Wow.
so I saw the world. I had an extremely privileged lifestyle. I was flying business class everywhere from beautiful remote islands in the middle of Indonesia, to the hills of the Himalayas and Bhutan, to the crazy streets of India, Africa, working with some amazing conservation brands. I went everywhere. I backpack in my early 20s, so I literally went out there and saw the world. I learned how to scuba dive. I learned how to ski, horse ride, you name it, I've done it. So you start doing all these things and you go out there and embrace the world. And then it was 10 years into my PR agency life. I was doing really well. But I was feeling more and more disconnected from what I was doing. I wanted more meaning and purpose. So I started to get clients that had more meaning and purpose in them. So I had an amazing African safari brand that was doing great conservation work and helping communities in the remote areas in Africa through healthcare and education. I had amazing well-being brands. I had nutritional experts who were my clients, like all these things that were helping people in meaningful ways. And then concurrently, I set up this wellness blog called The Soothe because during COVID in Singapore, where I was living for 14 years, their kind of approach to mental health wasn't on the same level as the Western world. So I wanted to help the people of Singapore with a blog, and it did really well. So I was trying all these different things to find meaning and purpose. And good old Simon Sinek, and as assured, sure you've all heard of, he started up with that book, Find the Why. What is your purpose? And that was a momental moment for me, like finding my why and my purpose. Um, I have done so much inner work on myself, obviously, since my father's passing. It's something that you have to process. I've seen all sorts of psychologists, psychotherapists. An amazing ex-Buddhist monk who's my mindfulness teacher still. Coaches still need a coach and
Mhm.
someone to go to. But I also had an incredible coach myself, an NLP coach, who ended up teaching me to be a coach because I just thought the frameworks and practices that she embodied really, really helped me in a very powerful way, because I felt therapy sometimes doesn't give you a framework or a strategy to move forward in life.
Mhm.
So I studied my coaching. I also got taught how to teach mindfulness and meditation. So I started adding all these extra tools into my kit that I now have when I coach. I'm off to Oxford University next week to Europe's largest trauma conference to hear from world experts on relational trauma. So I'm always adding extra bits and bobs into my toolkit. So I'm digressing a bit here, but I had to rip the plaster off one day and go, I don't want to run my PR agency anymore. I want to coach full time. Everyone thought I was bonkers. What are you doing? Why don't you sell? You're doing so well. You're making this money. Like, why would you change anything? Well, I was deeply unhappy. I wasn't in my purpose, and I didn't want to make billionaires richer. I think I had so many billionaire clients on my books. I didn't want to make all these billionaires richer anymore. I was just like, oh God, I'd experienced the amazing lifestyle, but it was becoming meaningless to me.
Mhm.
So I had to rip the plaster off, and I didn't sell. Before COVID, I got an offer to buy me, and I turned it down because I listened to my gut and it just didn't feel right.
Yay.
And it was the best thing I ever did because number one, COVID happened. And I don't know if you know much about buyouts in it when you're selling a service company, but it is a buyout. You have to stay with the company. You have
Mhm.
to achieve certain revenue targets, keep the same clients, yada, yada, yada. I would never have got that payout because COVID happened. So my revenue decreased. And I would have had to have built my business up had I gone re-entered into a sale after COVID. So I decided that I didn't want to spend another 3 years building my business up to sell it and then staying with the company for another 2 years to sell it out. That would be another 5 years of my time
Mhm.
in my life doing something that I'm not living in my purpose.
Mhm.
I also believe money can be made back. I'd made money, I'd saved plenty of money that allowed me to go straight into coaching. It was a really, really hard decision to make because, of course, those little minions in your head. What will people think? What will people think?
Mhm.
What people are going to say? Oh,
Yeah.
did she fail? What's going on? Why is she leaving? Da 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 da. So
Mhm.
all these things I had to quash in my head to go, actually, I'm on to a new chapter in my life. I loved what I did. I will always support the PR industry, which I have been doing through my Work Well Academy. But my purpose is to help people in more meaningful ways, and that's where I get the biggest job satisfaction.
Mm. So you you made that change, like you said, that's incredibly difficult, especially of a certain age, right? I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
the younger kids can move careers and we call them crazy or whatever. That's not what you went to school for. But here you are at the probably at the height, right, of your success, and you said you really did the homework yourself and said, "I'm just not happy." And I think so many women can relate to that story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the thing is, it starts knocking at your door, and then it gets louder, and then it gets louder, and then you have a few burnouts thrown in there as well. Your health starts going downhill. You're like, oh,
it's
like how
true.
many other signs do you actually need until it's like, whoa, like you're in a wind tunnel going, hellfire, I need to do something about this.
Right, right, right. But then, so I mean, how did you shut that negative voice down? I always talk about this. How did what because it as you said, that voice gets louder too. Who do you think you are? You're crazy. No one's
Yeah.
ever gonna you're never gonna get a client.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what will people think? Well, what will people think?
Right,
What will they think? And the people that think, oh, she failed at her business, well, let them think that. Let
right,
them think that. Honestly, you do you and I'll do me.
right.
And
Hmm,
oh, she can't be a coach. She hasn't been a coach for the last 30 years. Well, let's look at some of the people who just started off their second career and are now hugely successful. I mean, look at Oprah Winfrey, for instance, amazing
right,
example. There's
right.
so many amazing entrepreneurs, men and women, and coaches that didn't really start their journey until their 40s, 50s, and even 60s. And by the way, when you're a coach, you need a bit of experience. Like, who's going to have a 20-odd-year-old coach, right? I'm sorry. So if you're 20 years old
That's
and you
true.
want to be a coach, please go and get some experience first. You need a bit of life experience,
Yeah,
right?
I
And
agree.
that's when I think a lot of people who have lived experience, it really, really is one of the core components when you are looking for a coach, is what I would say is like what lived experience did they have? Yeah, we've all got the qualifications out there, but and are they practicing what they preach? So I've
Mm,
had coaches in the past where I'm like, oh my God, their personal life is an absolute clusterfuck. I don't really respect them. you
it's
know,
true.
it's
Yeah.
like, are they living what they say they are doing and preaching and coaching? So it's for me, I coach my Evolve Woman program, and it's all 100% me. I've walked the walk, I've talked the talk, I've tried it all out. It is a product of me, and that's why I'm so niche with my program. I know I could have done any old kind of to the masses, free for all coaching program, but I wanted it to be super specific to my niche because I know it intimately. I know all
Mm,
the nuances of how it is to run a business and try and boss all the areas of your life.
mm.
So yeah.
Well, for people wondering, how do you know when you found your purpose? What does it feel like?
When you wake up in the morning, you just like, can't wait to get out of bed and you just feel light. You feel excited to seize the day. After my coaching calls, I'm like, yes. It's just so fulfilling. You feel so much satisfaction and joy in what you're doing. These ladies that are going through my program when they're like, oh my God, I wish I knew you 20 years ago. How
Mm,
did I not know you? How have I only just discovered you? um, and just empowering them to understand who they are and move forward in life with so much confidence and a toolkit to show up as their best self. There's no better feeling than helping other people. And I do believe, and I don't mean this in a religious way, whether you're religious or non-religious, I do believe that we are put on this planet to serve others, right? I do believe we are in service to others.
mhm,
And I also think we should all have some kind of legacy. So what's your legacy? Again,
mm,
it's the deathbed analogy. I know it's really morbid, but look at your deathbed and look backwards, like, what impact did I have on the world? And I'm not saying, you had to move mountains, but did I impact my community or a small group of people in a positive way? Did I leave
mhm,
a positive footprint on this planet? Um, and I always encourage people to embrace that mentality. And sometimes if your job doesn't encompass that, like what can you do in your personal life, in your social life to really embody those values?
mm. But you got here, later on, right? Can people get here to the place where you are now, can they get there in their 20s of finding their purpose?
Yes, I think they can in some ways. If I think, your 20s are all about experiencing, though.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
you don't have like some manual, like by 22 years old, you'll know what you're doing. Like, this is your path. And we're evolving and learning so much about ourselves. And I think there's so much more information out there. There's so
Hmm.
many more tools and guidance out there to help us make the best decisions on what's right for us. But you don't really know yourself until you're in your late 30s. And your 20s are all about exploring and just going with it. Like, just have a
Mm,
go. Have
right.
a go. What feels good? What are you interested in? And I always say one of the tools that maybe, the younger generation can have a look at is the Ikigai Venn diagram, the Japanese Venn diagram, where you look
Okay.
at um what the world needs more of, what I'm good at, kind of what your skill sets are, what you really love doing, what you can get paid for. And that can really help guide you through life in terms of, because we all need to get paid at the end of the day, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for
So,
sure.
what can we do that we're good at or learn to be good at? Because skills can be taught. I think attitude is so key for the younger generation as well. Just show up with the best attitude and work ethic. Um, but most of all, like, you're in work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Like, what are you going to find joy? What's going to fill your cup and what is going to drain you? And I also think, like, work, there are some parts of work still for me that I don't massively enjoy. There's always going to be a certain part of your job where you're like, oh, I hate doing this. And it's always at the bottom of your to-do list. And that doesn't mean that you're not living in your purpose and yada, yada, yada. There's always going to be some shit that you hate doing. Me, it's admin and tech. And
Hmm.
I've learned to embrace the tech world. I sound like an utter dinosaur now. I'm not that bad, but I've learned to kind of grasp it, going, come on, girl, you can do this. Like all the systems and processes I use for my coaching program. Um, yeah, you can find it in your 20s, and some people will stay in the same career and forever, but don't put that pressure on yourself. Just
Mm.
be open-minded, do what you love, do what you're passionate about, be open to learning, be open to upskilling yourself, and never stop evolving.
Mm. Oh, I love that. I love that. Talk about your podcast now. P.S. I love you. How did that start?
P.S. I love me. Yeah.
I love me. Oh my God. Okay.
It's okay. It's a spin-off on the movie P.S. I Love You. And it really complements my coaching program, really. And it's for single female entrepreneurs and high achievers trying to navigate the wild world of having it all: career
Mm.
success and personal fulfillment and finding the love of our life. So the experts I have on are everything from experts in nutrition to peri and menopause to sexuality and sexual shaming and sexual culture, to spirituality, to mindfulness, um, to really switching the dialogue on societal norms. I've got an amazing lady coming on, who's a somatic healing coach who had her first child as a single parent from wanting to date. So the shame that was around
Mm.
that she didn't have shame, but the society and the family projections on her around that.
Mm.
So I really trying to shift the needle on how we navigate life, and really it's a complement and goes hand in hand with my Evolve Woman program. But yeah, it's real talk. It's real no bullshit talk, and it's super informative. So
Mm. I love it. Well, that's what I mean. I think at the end of the day, someone asked me, what is the secret to a powerful woman? I said, constantly learning, education, just talking, sharing your story. I mean,
yeah,
that's it, right?
it really is. It really
Yeah.
is. And sometimes it's because sometimes when you hear powerful woman, you think ego, right?
Mm.
But it's actually being able to put that ego to one side and go, okay, maybe I need to do a little work, do a little inner work,
Mhm.
be open to the world, be open to opportunities, have a flexible mind. So it's having that power and that self awareness to navigate through life with that growth mindset. And I think growth mindset is everything in a powerful woman.
Well, what if a woman, okay, so let's say quickly, if a woman's listening to this, right, and then says, I hate my job. I can't stand getting up every morning, going to work. I feel trapped. What is the first thing? I mean, they can call you, they can reach out to you, obviously. Well, what would be the first thing you would tell them?
Yeah, I'd start like looking into it. Like, what is it about your job that you really hate, that you feel stuck with? And
Mm,
start identifying the specific reasons in terms of why you really don't like your job right now. Are there changes that you can make to make your job more enjoyable? And what do you want to do instead? So
mm,
sometimes it's not all about just, okay, let's jack it in. This job sucks. It's looking at, okay, is it the environment I'm in? Is it my colleagues? Is it a
mhm,
project that we're just currently going through and that's going to end very soon? So it's just getting really specific.
right.
Can you get through this momentarily bad time at work? What resources and tools do you need to get through that time? But again, it's looking back at, okay, if I really want to make a change, what is it that I really want to do, and start mapping out and strategizing and brainstorming in terms of what is going to bring me more joy, and how can I use my current skills and my current experience to
Mm,
step into that new role? Because again, a lot of people are scared. Like you said, I've gone
mm,
from PR agency owner to life coach.
yeah.
But there's so many lessons learnt from both my personal life and my professional life that I bring into coaching high achieving women. So, I ran my own business. I've been through quite a few hardships in my life, as well as a failed marriage. So we've all got either lived experience or skills that we can bring through into our next iteration of ourselves. Communication. I
Mm,
was a communications expert. So again, in my Evolve Woman program, I teach people how to communicate their values and their needs and their boundaries in a healthy, non-aggressive way.
right.
So that all our skills are transferable in some way. So it's not being afraid to, it's never too late to start over. And if you're deeply unhappy, it's never too late. Remember, you're the one in the driving seat. You're the one in the driving seat. We don't know how long we've got left on this planet. So do what fills your cup, do what brings you joy, and, show up as the best version of yourself and for everyone else. Because when you're happy, when you filled your cup with all the good stuff, as I said earlier, that's when you show up as the 100% authentic, positive self for everyone else in your environment, your kids, your family, your friends, your work colleagues. You know it when you're vibing high, and
Mm,
I'm going to be super high after this podcast, and I'm going to be ringing my partner up, and I'm going to be speaking to my mom, and I'll be high as a kite because I'm speaking to you. I'm in my purpose, and I'm sharing with your amazing audience how they can be more empowered, and what they can do to navigate their life. So it's never too late to make a change, but just have a little bit of stop and analyze the situation first, and make sure that you're not jumping ship too early.
mm,
And start just looking at, okay, what is going to bring me joy? What do I really want to do? And don't be brave. Don't be afraid to step outside the norm, and embrace what truly makes you happy.
mm. Oh, Linda, so much good stuff right there. So much good stuff. Let me ask you, if someone's listening, they say, "I would love to work with Linda." How would they do it?
Yeah. Go to lindawilliamscoaching.com is my website. I'm also on Instagram at Lynda Williams Coach. Linda is with a Y. Thanks, Mom. Um,
Yeah, right.
and of course, my podcast, P.S. I Love Me. I've always got lots of great experts on there. So have a listen. I'm sure you can learn a few things from all the amazing ladies that I interview on there too.
Oh, well, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for coming on. You were so genuine and telling your story and sharing your expertise.
Thank you, Jill. And thank you for asking such brilliant questions as well. And I love what you do, and I love your podcast. So thank you so much for having me.
Aw, thank you. And I love yours. So everyone, listen, honestly, listen to Linda's podcast. Like she said, P.S. I love me. And what I love about, podcasts and mine too, we reach across the world, right? And that's what's the magical part of all of this. And I mean, you're coming from the UK. And I think together we will change the world.
One step at a time. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much again to Lynda Williams. Find her Lynda Williams on her website, find her podcast. I do want to say I'm Jill Conway. Thank you for listening to a show that celebrates incredible women. I hope you're inspired to pursue your own goals, believe in yourself, and dream bigger. Your voice matters and your story can help others. I hope you join me next time and share this podcast with a friend. Follow me on Instagram. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lynda.